Good morning, everyone. Dr. Victoria Skirbo here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. Today is Wednesday, June 2nd, and the moon is in Pisces again. And of course, that moon in Pisces is a very imaginative moon. It can bring a lot of compassion and a lot of healing to the day. It can also bring some flights of fancy, which, are not necessarily a bad thing. We could use a few flights of fancy, especially when reality looks so dire and stark, right? Today the moon makes a last quarter crisis in consciousness square to the sun in Gemini. This is part of the lunation cycle that began with that new moon in Taurus. It was on the 11th of May at 22 degrees of Taurus. Sabian symbol for that degree of Taurus was a dove, a white dove, or a dove. I think it's a white dove. Flies over troubled waters or travels over troubled waters. It had to do with faith, and it had to do with peace, and it had to do with embodying that peace to bring, to calm the troubled waters, right? To calm the troubled waters. There's a lot of emotional upheaval at this time, especially in the United States. That's all part and parcel, I believe, to the United States Pluto Return. Pluto is the soul of the U.S. at 28 degrees of Capricorn. And as Pluto returns to its position 248 years later, a lot of our shadow stuff comes up. A lot of our deep emotional wounding. Capricorn tends to repress feelings, and this Capricorn return is sort of allowing those feelings to come out and be expressed and be felt. It is a catharsis of sorts. Actually, it's a catharsis, not of sorts. It's a catharsis. Yikes. But that's why we're so intense, and we're really trying to figure out who we are and kind of what we stand for. Now, we have to remember that, if you don't mind me going into this, a lot of America, there are those people who were here first, the indigenous, and there was a genocide, right? So that was trauma. We brought the slaves from Africa. That was traumatic. And most people who have come to America have come to America from a traumatic situation. War, pestilence, hunger, looking for a better life, coming from really bad situations. And they get to America and it's like, oh, but that's just one side of America. There's a lot of suffering that goes between the actual sort of capture of the American dream, I guess we could say, and the dream of the American dream. But all that trauma comes up and needs to be seen and needs to be acknowledged and needs to be healed. Now, are we going to do it in, the 2 years or even the 10 years of this Pluto return? Not necessarily, but it's out there, and then we have to heal it, right? So let's get back to the day. I don't know why I got on that little thing, but so let's talk about the day. We have that last quarter square, last quarter crisis in consciousness. We are questioning authority. It is the last quarter. It is a move towards more progressive values, more humanitarian values. And if there are those in power that are saying we need to be better to one another, then that's power worth. I don't want to say following, because you should follow your own inner guidance, but certainly that's somebody you want leading, right? as opposed to the opposite of that. You know, it's all about me. Don't worry about anybody else. We are in this together, and we're on this planet together, and Mother Earth is reminding us of that. We also have a sextile to Uranus, speaking of Mother Earth. Uranus and Taurus, shaken the very foundations. But it's a sextile, and the sextile opens the lines of communications, as it were, and also gives us an opportunity to share what we know. And then later, the latest thing that happens, and then in some cases, not until tomorrow, but like 12:30 here on the East Coast tonight, or tomorrow morning, I guess, we have the moon make a conjunction to Neptune, which it does every time it goes into Pisces. Sort of, it's a touchstone, like a touchstone to spirit. So, sorry, it's a little noisy here this morning. That's what's going on. I hope you enjoyed our little walk through the garden. Have yourself a beautiful day. Like and subscribe. You can check out my Kabbalah, numerology, astrology of June. I did the Kabbalah and the numerology of June, and the Kabbalah of the first week. The astrology of the first week, which is pretty potent. And every week in June has something big. So check that out if you want to know what big is coming. Or just meet me here in the mornings and we'll talk about it. All right, guys, take care. Much love. Namaste.